Employment in the country and business shedding more jobs, it has become clearer and clearer that the only saving grace for South Africa is individuals starting up their own businesses. Unfortunately, many seem to be overwhelmed by the whole idea of what makes entrepreneurship work. 5 business industry experts who have contributed in mentoring and funding startups have put together their thoughts and came up with a book titled, "And for these reasons, I'm in." We are now joined by Polo Leteka. She is a businesswoman and one of the contributors to this book. So good to have you, Polo. Welcome to Morning Live.
Thank you so much. Good morning to you.
Yeah, I mean, many people have tried and failed. You know, I've done it myself in business, and it really isn't as easy as it's cut out to be. I mean, what are the essential ingredients to actually get it right?
You know, I always say that there has to be a very clear market. You need to understand, firstly, you need to understand the problem that you're trying to solve, because that's really the market. And you need to be able to quantify it, you know, not just in terms of number of people, but also in terms of what the potential from a rand point of view is going to be. And you need to understand whether you can really make money out of it. You know, what is it going to take you to convert that idea into a real profitable business opportunity for yourself. So understanding the basics, the numbers, you know, the costs that go with it. Making sure that you've got the right team around you. I think one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of entrepreneurs make is that we don't pay what we require to pay to people that are going to help us to make our dreams eventual.
Yeah, you know, you say this, and I was having a conversation with somebody yesterday, and they were saying, you know, they own a nail bar. And they were saying that, no, it's not good because they're paying their nail technicians too much. Yeah. But it's a flourishing business. Yes. And that didn't make sense to me. Because at the end of the day, the people that are making your business are the ones that should be rewarded. Precisely. And you're doing well because of that.
Precisely.
I mean, is that pretty much what you're trying to say?
That's really it. If you don't have the right resources, it doesn't matter how great your idea is, it's just never going to happen. So you need to understand that. And when I say pay people properly, a lot of entrepreneurs, of course, have a challenge, especially in the initial stages where you don't have enough cash flow to pay the right salaries. And I always say you have to be creative around it. So, for instance, you can look at giving them participation in profits when the business becomes profitable, or even giving them shareholding if you feel that they're going to add that much value into your business. So there are very many creative ways that you can actually incentivize people to come on board and join you when you're starting up your business.
I mean, it isn't only you that contributed to the book. I mean, you've got some of your awesome partners that are with you. Yes. And one of them, of course, is Vusi Tembakwayo. And he is very big into passion. But what he says is that passion is not enough anymore.
Yes.
It just isn't. I mean, you can be passionate about anything, but that passion will not make you money.
Yes.
What makes you stand out?
You have to be persistent. You have to have a no-die attitude. You know, you have to really persevere, because you do come across a lot of challenges in business. And you need to just be, clear about this is what you want to achieve, and be non-apologetic about it. And I think a lot of the time in entrepreneurship, when it gets tough, people do discourage you. People do say, well, why don't you go and get a job? People try to dissuade you. So you need to really be headstrong and really go for it. And you have to push and push and push until you get where you want to get to, because that's what it takes. It really does take a lot of that.
And it takes a lot of money. I mean, let's not kid. So funding at the end of the day is probably one of the biggest problems and one of the biggest downfalls, that you've got a great idea, you think you have what it takes, but to get the money to do it. And I know that's where you come into the equation, because you do. I mean, you've
I'm a fund manager.
Exactly, and you've funded in excess of 70 small, medium businesses.
Yes.
But there's also this new way of funding that you talk about in the book called crowdfunding.
Yes.
What's this all about?
Well, firstly, can I address the point you mentioned earlier about the importance of funding? I actually don't think that funding is necessarily always the most important thing in business. And I think this is something that I need to emphasize. Our experience when people apply for funding in our funds is that a lot of the time, the businesses do not require funding. They actually require to do a lot of work within the businesses, refining their processes, making sure that they're operating efficiently. And a lot of the time you find that they waste a lot of money inefficient processes. So I would say that before people come and look for funding, they actually need to make sure that their house is in order.
Yeah.
Once your house is in order, then you have a much better sense of what your funding requirements are. And a lot of entrepreneurs do not spend a lot of time understanding, going through the process and therefore getting to a point where they properly understand their funding requirements. Crowdfunding essentially is, it's almost an online, it's mainly online right now, where you come up with a business idea or you come up with a pitch document and then you put it online, and then a lot of potential investors go online, listen to your business idea, and if you are looking for 100 Rand, one will say, I'll put in 5 Rand, another will say, I'll put in 10 Rand. And it's really that crowd, bringing a crowd together and helping you to raise the 100 Rand that you are looking for. So it's a non-traditional source of funding, but I think it's growing quite greatly across the world.
I want to keep you here all morning, but I can't. So because I can't, people must get out there and buy the book, because there's so much in this book. I mean, you talk about everything you've said here. You've also speak about the business plan, the all-important business plan on how to do this, and just really looking for what makes a good entrepreneur and a successful business person. So the book is out. It's in bookstores around the country.
Yes, across the country. Yes, even outside of South Africa, Lesotho, Swaziland, Botswana, you find it as well. Yeah.
Unbelievable. Well, there you go. It's called "And for All the Reasons I'm In: Essential Advice for Entrepreneurs." And Polo Leteka is one of the contributors to this book, in and amongst an unbelievable lineup. So it really is. I think this is a valuable source if you're starting up a business, or if you're in a business and you want to take it to greater heights. Thanks, Polo. Thank you very much for being with us here in the studio. All right, so another person that I am feeling so, I don't know if the word jealous, that's not a nice word to use, but just for this context I will, is Janine Lee. And not because she's out in the Eastern Cape or in East London. She's in London again. Another one. You and